Al Newsari explains the new mechanism for external transfers after the platform is closed. We have been following this and we have been spot on. They finally have done what was expected. This is to get the central bank back to normalcy, with international standards. That is a fact. A very good thing to have had correct all along, in our study of the Iraqi dinar. Question: what do you think Iraq's time to allow international to exchange our notes? That's their prerogative. Normally when something like this happens, the IMF works with that central bank of that country and they figure out a time frame. It can be 3 months, 6 months. It can be a year. The United States of America never cancelled our 3-0 notes. America never stopped allowing 3-0 notes to be exchanged, but I got a feeling Iraq will, and they should. We should have a great weekend. We'll see what happens. We know that al-Sudani is going to be talking to Trump real quick here. Last time Trump was in office, they didn't make any changes, and what ended up happening was they had to devalue the dinar before the country went bankrupt. So this time around they might jump ahead of this and devalue the dinar ahead of time, so that the impact is not that hard against the Iraqi people and against Iraq if crude oil prices go down. Two of Iraq's most ambitious infrastructure projects, the Central Bank Tower in Baghdad and the Grand Al-Four port in Basra, have been recognized as some of the most significant mega projects in the world for 2025. The projects ranked 11th and 10th by the renowned British platform the B1M. These achievements reflect not only Iraq's commitment to modernization but also its ambition to reclaim its place on the global stage as a hub for economic and cultural progress. I have talked to a couple Iraqi sources and they still believe this is it. They have contractors that they are in contact with that are suddenly being called in. I have one who will not tell me what the renegotiated rate is on their contracts. One of them mentioned $3.91, but I do not know for certain if that is really it. It's from a contact I don't know really well. British platform includes the Central Bank Tower and Al-Four port in the list of giant projects in the world for the year 2025. Iraq's 25 budget still in the works, with the government expected to send the budget tables to the council representatives in early February. The rate needs to change before that, guys. That's why I've been telling you you're in red-hot January. January is a critical month to our investment. You're going to see the new exchange rate before you see the budget. I understand the need for diplomacy, but Iraq needs to step back from Iran politically. Al-Sudani needs to be careful. Trump is going to come down hard on Iran, and I hope Iraq doesn't get in the way. I understand your view. We report what is in reality, and happening during a global event too. Like it or not, Iraq and Iran are linked. My bet is Iran is capitulating for a very big reason. The news is the news. We watch what happens and report it. No fear for the regime in Iraq as long as America and the religious authority are satisfied. The government is heading towards independence. Iraq must gain their independence not just on paper but in practical terms. Now that the Chapter 7 sanctions are released for over 2 years already, it is time. The next stage is full sovereignty promised to the Iraqi people during the second invasion in 2003. Yes, they still are not a free country until they get back their currency, which means to control their own wealth. Also, I want to mention, the CBI reserves are in the bank in New York, JP Morgan/Chase DFI fund amounting to over $120 billion. And so Iraq will also have to recover these funds too. The UN already decreed these funds should be returned to Iraq. We are watching this closely. Question, just thinking out loud here, is it possible to get the RIA unsat and get paid on the 21st? Marks, it is absolutely possible. Similar to how Kuwait did theirs. In a nutshell, Kuwait got a RIA, real effective exchange rate, and within 10 days we started exchanging. The auctions have metamorphosed, they have evolved, they have progressed to what is now called international foreign currency transfers, and it's being done by private banks. You think the currency auctions that once existed that Iran was taking advantage of are still active? You're wrong. You're ignorant. Transfers, no longer auctions. This is not taking a currency and converting it into any other currency. This is moving a currency in and out of the country they could never do before. Don't you understand the value of that? Don't you understand how important that is for the monetary reform? Ain't got nothing to do with the CBI. It has to do with the private banks exchanging between each other and across the borders. The financial advisor to the Prime Minister, Mazar Mohammed Saleh, revealed a study being conducted by a global consulting firm, commissioned by the state, to restructure Rafidain and Rashid banks, which constitute 85% of the banking market in the country. Saleh explained to Al Furat news agency that the two banks suffer from a historical legacy of challenges, which requires a comprehensive reform plan to reposition them within the map of effective and efficient banking work. Saleh added, the study aims to establish a new banking entity specializing in government banking operations, to meet the government's needs exclusively. This entity will contribute to achieving the goals of the Unified Treasury Account, which is a crucial tool for regulating cash flows for public finances. He pointed out that the study focuses on evaluating the legal status of the two banks, including property rights, evaluating assets and liabilities, and studying the requirements of a strategic partner if necessary, with a focus on developing the two entities to operate according to advanced financial technology that meets the requirements of the national banking market. He stressed that the structural reform also aims to enhance the integration of the two banks into the national banking market and enable them to expand into global financial markets, especially in the areas of trade and investment financing for the private sector. He added that the two potential entities will rely on modern systems in compliance, governance and risk management, with a focus on digital payments. He concluded by saying, the study is expected to be submitted to the higher official authorities in the coming months, within the framework of implementing the government's financial and banking reform program, which aims to achieve a comprehensive economic renaissance and build modern financial institutions. Earlier today, Thursday, Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani chaired a special meeting to discuss developing the work of government banks, in the presence of representatives of Ernst & Young for auditing and financial consulting. The Prime Minister explained that the percentage of completion of the project to restructure Rafidain Bank has reached its final stages, stressing that it will enter into force within the next few days, within the framework of a plan that has been studied and implemented according to the established standards and specifications.